Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Everyday English Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and I am absolutely thrilled to have you here with us today. Whether you're commuting to work, doing the dishes, or just relaxing at home with a cup of tea, thank you for making us a part of your English learning journey. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that is absolutely essential for anyone looking to build confidence in English. It's something we do every single day, yet it can be incredibly intimidating, especially in a second language. We're talking about the art of small talk, how to start a conversation with anyone. To help us master this art, I have a very special guest with me today. She is a communications expert, a language coach, and someone who genuinely loves connecting with people. Please welcome to the show, Sarah. Sarah, it's so wonderful to have you here.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here on the Everyday English Podcast. I've been looking forward to this conversation all week, and I'm so excited to talk about small talk with your listeners today.
We are so glad you're here, Sarah. You know, when we hear the phrase small talk, some people think it's just unimportant, trivial conversation about the weather. But for language learners, small talk is actually a huge deal, isn't it? It's often the gatekeeper to deeper connections.
Oh, absolutely, Mark. You hit the nail on the head. Small talk is definitely not small in terms of its importance. It is the foundation of almost every relationship we build. Think about it. You rarely just walk up to someone and start talking about deep philosophical topics or your biggest life secrets. You start with something light. You start with small talk. For English learners, mastering small talk is the ultimate tool for breaking the ice, overcoming social anxiety, and practicing English in real-world situations.
That is so true. But for many of our listeners, that initial moment, the breaking of the ice, is the scariest part. The fear of not knowing what to say or making a grammatical mistake can completely paralyze a person. So, Sarah, let's start at the very beginning. How does someone actually start a conversation with a complete stranger in English? What are some reliable conversation starters?
That is the golden question. And the good news is it's much simpler than people think. The secret to a great conversation starter is to focus on the shared environment or context. You don't need a brilliant, poetic opening line. You just need something relevant to the moment. For example, let's look at 3 common scenarios: a coffee shop, a professional networking event, and waiting in a line. If you're at a coffee shop, you can comment on what the other person is ordering or the atmosphere. You could say something like, "Excuse me, that drink looks amazing. What is it?" Or, "It's really crowded here today, isn't it?" At a networking event, it's even easier because everyone is there to talk. You can simply ask, "So, what brings you to this event today?" Or, "Have you been to one of these conferences before?" And if you're waiting in a long line, say at the supermarket, you can use humor or a shared frustration. Something like, "Wow, this line is moving slowly today, isn't it? Good thing I'm not in a rush."
I love those examples, Sarah, because they feel very natural and low pressure. You're not asking for a deep life story right away. You're just inviting the other person to acknowledge a shared experience. But let's say the other person responds. They say, "Yes, the coffee here is great," or "No, it's my first time at this event." What happens next? How do we keep that conversation moving forward so it doesn't just fizzle out after 5 seconds?
This is where many people get stuck, even native speakers. The key to keeping a conversation alive is a technique I call the echo and expand method, combined with open-ended questions. First, let's talk about open-ended questions. These are questions that require more than a simple yes or no answer. They usually start with words like what, how, or why. So if you ask someone, "Do you like this city?" they can just say yes. Conversation dead. But if you ask, "What do you like most about living in this city?" they have to give you details. They might say, "Oh, I love the parks and the food scene here." Now you use the echo and expand technique. You take a piece of information they just gave you, the echo, and you add your own thought to it, the expand. So you could say, "Oh, the food scene? I completely agree. I actually tried a fantastic Italian restaurant downtown last week. Have you been there?" See how that works? You take what they give you, build on it, and toss the ball back into their court.
Brilliant. The echo and expand. I'm going to remember that. It really is like a game of catch, isn't it? You can't just hold on to the ball, and you can't throw it so hard that the other person drops it. You just gently pass it back and forth. Now, Sarah, I want to touch upon a specific challenge that our English learners face. Sometimes when a native speaker talks too fast or uses an idiom, the learner might not understand. In the middle of small talk, that can feel incredibly awkward. How should a learner handle a situation where they didn't catch what the other person said?
This is a massive source of anxiety for learners. Many people think admitting they didn't understand makes them look bad, but in reality, it's completely normal, and native speakers do it all the time too. The worst thing you can do is just smile, nod, and pretend you understood, because if they ask you a follow-up question, you'll be completely lost. Instead, you should have a few polite clarification phrases ready to go. You can say, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that a bit slower? I'm still practicing my English." Or, "I'm not familiar with that phrase. What does that mean?" Or simply, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that last part." Most people are incredibly kind and happy to explain or slow down. In fact, showing that you are actively trying to learn and understand actually makes you a more engaging conversationalist. It shows humility and genuine interest.
That is such reassuring advice. It really takes the pressure off. It's okay not to understand everything. Let's pivot a bit to the topics themselves. We know the weather is the ultimate stereotype for small talk, but what are some other safe and engaging topics that are universally good for small talk? And conversely, what are some topics we should definitely avoid?
Let's start with the good, safe topics. I like to use the acronym FORD. It stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Dreams. F is for family or pets. People love talking about their families or their dogs and cats. A simple, "Do you have any pets?" can open up a 10-minute conversation. O is for occupation, asking about what someone does for work, or if they're a student, what they're studying. "What do you do for a living?" Or "How long have you been working in that field?" R is for recreation. This is my personal favorite. Hobbies, movies, music, travel, sports. What do you like to do on the weekends? Or have you seen any good movies lately? Or are you planning any trips this summer? D is for dreams. This is for when the conversation is going a bit better and you want to look forward. Like, if you could travel anywhere right now, where would you go? Now, as for what to avoid, especially when you're just meeting someone, stay far away from politics, religion, finances or salary, and deeply personal health issues. These topics are very sensitive and can quickly turn a light, friendly conversation into an uncomfortable debate. Keep it light, keep it positive.
Ford. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. That is a fantastic framework, Sarah. It covers so much ground and keeps the conversation in a very positive zone. You know, another aspect of small talk that often gets overlooked is nonverbal communication. Body language, eye contact, smiling. How much does that matter when we're trying to connect with someone in English?
It matters immensely, Mark. Some experts say that over 50% of our communication is nonverbal. When you're speaking a second language, you might be concentrating so hard on your grammar and vocabulary that your face becomes very serious, or you look down at the floor because you're thinking. To the other person, this might look like you're bored, angry, or uninterested in talking to them. So even if you are feeling nervous inside, try to maintain open body language. Smile when you greet someone. Make comfortable eye contact. You don't have to stare intently, but look at them when they speak to show you're listening. Uncross your arms and lean in slightly. This signals to the other person, "I am friendly, I am approachable, and I am listening to you." It can compensate for a lot of language mistakes.
Absolutely. A warm smile is universal. It transcends any language barrier. So far, we've talked about how to start a conversation, how to keep it going, what topics to use, and how to use body language. But there's one final piece of the puzzle that is just as important, and that is how to end a conversation. Sometimes a conversation naturally comes to an end, or maybe you have to leave to catch a train or go to a meeting. How do you gracefully exit a small talk conversation without seeming rude?
Ending the conversation beautifully is an art form in itself. You want to leave the other person with a positive impression. The secret here is to use a transition phrase that explains why you have to go, followed by a compliment or a wish for their future. Here is a simple structure you can use. Step 1, the transition. "Well, I should probably head inside. My meeting is about to start." Or, "Anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time." Step 2, the compliment or validation. "It was really wonderful talking to you," or "I loved hearing about your travel plans." Step 3, the closing wish. "Have a great rest of your day," or good luck with your presentation later. If you follow that formula, the other person will feel appreciated and the conversation ends on a high note.
That is so smooth. It was really wonderful talking to you. Have a great rest of your day. Simple, polite, and effective. Sarah, this has been an absolute masterclass. Before we wrap up today's episode, what is one final piece of encouragement or advice you would give to our Everyday English podcast listeners who are determined to go out there and practice their small talk this week?
My biggest piece of advice is to change your mindset about mistakes. Mistakes are not a sign of failure, they're proof that you're trying. Native English speakers do not expect you to speak perfectly, they just want to connect with you. So, your challenge for this week is to find just one opportunity to start a small conversation. It could be saying, "Good morning, how are you today?" to the cashier, or asking a coworker about their weekend. Start small, be brave, use the FORD method, and remember to smile. You can do this.
Wow, what an inspiring note to finish on. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible wisdom with our community.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark. It was a joy. Happy chatting to everyone listening.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for tuning in to the Everyday English podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review if you enjoyed this episode, and share it with a friend who is also learning English. Go out there, practice your small talk, and we will see you in the next episode. Until next time, keep practicing and take care.